very special event. Again, my name is Mark, and before we go any further, I also want to acknowledge this performance is being videotaped, as last night's was. Tonight is also being live streamed on the internet, so the world is watching, the whole world is watching, as we like to say. So this is the camera right here that Stacy is operating, and Matt Reddy over here, who happens to be a legislator himself. He's a Jefferson County Hospital Commissioner and internet activist. Great, Matt, is there anything that we need to know about the live stream before we proceed?
Just be aware that it's happening, because it's going to be recorded and shared.
So, many of you know, but some of you might not know, this evening is interactive participatory theater. In a moment you're going to watch a play that was created by these young people from Port Angeles and Clallam County as part of a week-long workshop that we just are about to complete. Then we're going to run the play a second time. It's called Forum Theater, at which point you, the members of the audience, will be able to yell stop if you see a character that is oppressed, lacking power, or struggling with a social issue. It'll be pretty clear how that plays out shortly. I'll give you the rules at the time. And you can actually come up on stage, take the place of that character, and improvise your ideas, your solutions. That's half the evening. Normally that's the whole evening, but tonight we're also doing legislative theater. And after seeing the play and problem solving with the forum, you all will be able to actually write proposals for laws and public policies based on the material and the content of that play and what comes up, of ideas that how you'd like to see things changed. Not laws that are already in place, but new ideas. And we have real legislators here tonight. You will meet them in just a moment, who will take note of this, and perhaps, in a perfect world, some of the ideas that we, the people, have, including our global audience, may come to fruition based on this event. We did a legislative theater event in Port Townsend last October on healthcare access and affordability, and we actually got 2 significant things to happen from that, including a free dental clinic that is in process. So this stuff works. It's done all over the world, although not very often because it's quite complex to organize. Right? So again, kudos to the league for taking that on. Historically, and it's important that I tell you the context of this. So there's a little bit of talking at the top, and then we're going to get to theater. Legislative theater is part of a larger body of work called Theater of the Oppressed, developed by Brazilian visionary, theater artist, activist, and actually Nobel Prize, Peace Prize nominee Augusto Boal. He died a few years ago. His work is done all over the world and lives on. In fact, it's growing. The Mandala Center, we're one of the longest term practitioners in the world. We've been doing this work for over 25 years. We are what Augusto would have used to call his multipliers. So it's part of a larger movement. So you're part of theater history here tonight. And Port Angeles, first time in the PA. So. One thing about the development of legislative theater, it's a great story, and it will context it. Augusto Boal lived in Brazil and was developing Theater of the Oppressed, and it was back in a time of military regime. He ultimately was arrested, tortured, and exiled, and went to Europe for 10 years, where he further developed the work there. And then the government changed, it was a more liberal government, and he was invited back to Brazil, where he continued to develop Theater of the Oppressed there. And at one point, some friends of his asked him to run for vereador, essentially a city councilman in Rio, 42 positions, very powerful legislators in Rio. They asked him to vote and represent the Workers' Party. And Augusto said, well, I'm a man of the theater, I'm not a politician, this is not what I do. And they said, well, don't worry, you won't win, but you're very charismatic, you'll be a great front person for the Workers' Party. Well, he won. He won, and at first he was a little shocked, but then he went, and he realized he had a very large budget. And so he hired a lawyer and an accountant like all of the other variadors, and then he hired his entire theater troupe to go out into the community, to different pockets of marginalized, often voiceless pockets of the community. He sent one of his team out to work with battered women, one to work with street youth, one to work with black students at the university, one to work with blind people, and so on and so on and so on. And they created plays about their struggles, just like this cast did. And then they would do forum theater, just like you're going to see tonight. And then Boal developed legislative theater, where then people proposed laws, and just like you're going to do tonight. And by doing that, he got 13 laws passed in Rio during his 4 years. He did not win a re-election, by the way. He got death threats. He and his actors were called devils. And as Augusto told the story once, so they came into chambers with horns and pitchforks, and being theater people, we do these sorts of things. So anyway, you get a little bit of a context of what's about to happen here. The stuff works, or it can work, right? So, a few pieces of housekeeping. I have my cheat sheet because there's a lot of moving parts tonight. Just want to make sure. Okay, so this whole evening is 3 hours long. It's going to go to 9:30. By US standards, that's a long time. Imagine if you're in Europe, it's 1:30 in the morning right now, so it's worse for them. But we ask you to really stick with it. It's going to move very quickly once I stop this introductory stuff. And hopefully it will be very fascinating, and poof, 3 hours will go by. We will take a little break around 8 o'clock. That's the time that you'll be writing proposals. If you need to use the restroom at any point, there are two right out this door. Feel free to do that even before the break. So that's that. Normally, we ask that people turn off their cell phones during a performance, but we actually, with this work, invite you, if you're going to use your cell phone, to Facebook or tweet what's happening here. That would be wonderful. So use it as part of the work. We ask you to resist using it just to space out and chat with your friends, but let people know what's going on here. It's important work. All right. You know about the videotaping. That's all the housekeeping. Are there any logistical questions before I do some key introductions? Okay, so I first want to introduce you to our panel of experts, what Augusto would call the metabolizing cell. These are folks that work with youth in a variety of different capacities. They'll introduce themselves in just a moment. And they're going to take all of the proposals. Underneath your seats, you'll notice you have a couple of white index cards. There's also red, yellow, and green index cards. That's for voting, but the white ones will be for writing your proposals down. You'll be turning them into that team of 3, and they'll cull through them to hand me about a dozen. Because at most we'll really get to 10 or 12 here tonight. I just would invite you, the 3 of you, to stand up and introduce yourselves and what you do in the community. Hold on.
I'm Johnny Colden. I'm a juvenile probation officer and diversion coordinator.
I'm Ari Wyatt, and I am a clinical mental health counselor for Peninsula Behavioral Health.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Sherman-Barron. I used to work as a science educator, and I currently work as a lawyer.
Johnny, also I have to say, is a current member of our local Poetic Justice Theater Ensemble in Port Townsend. And Lindsay, who I haven't seen in years, was a founder of Poetic Justice with us in the first year 15 years ago. So it's actually very touching for me to have both of them here. Johnny was an actor in our healthcare legislative theater event last October, so he knows it from this side. Right? Okay. We have some legislators here. We had 10 last night, including school board members. We have fewer tonight, but it is thrilling to have them. If the 3 of you could please stand up and introduce yourselves.
Genevieve Starr. I'm a counselor for the city of Sequim.
I'm State Rep Steve Thuringer, representing the 24th Legislative District.
I'm Maggie Roth, and I'm running for County Commissioner District
Thank you. And by chance, are there any other decision makers in the audience? I thought maybe there was going to be one of the high school principals coming. Is anybody want to out yourself as a policy or decision maker, particularly around youth issues? Okay. No one else in the house. Okay, great. We had a lot of teachers in the house. How many of you are currently or have been teachers? Okay, so there's quite a few. There was a huge number of hands last night on that. It was really fascinating. Good. Alrighty. My role is the facilitator of the whole evening. In Theater of the Oppressed speak, I'm called the Joker. Not that I'm necessarily that funny, though I may try to be at times. It's the wild card in the deck, right? It can play many different roles, and it's a neutral, if anybody can possibly be neutral. But my job is to facilitate the wisdom from the audience and with the cast, not to teach you anything. So my job, we do not have a teaching agenda. Theater of the Oppressed is about dialogue, right? So we're tapping the wisdom in the room, and in some ways all over the world tonight. So, in a moment you're going to see a play. We spent about 40 hours together this week. Much of it was playing games, community building, exploring issues through image theater, which is human sculptures, and then at the end of Wednesday, really starting Thursday, developing a play on subject matter that is of burning importance to these 12 teenagers. They chose the failings of school and the education system. There were other topics that were brought up, certainly, and there's quite a few side topics built in there, but this is what they chose to make a play about. The play is theirs. I've helped craft it as a piece of theater, but the content is absolutely theirs based on real life experiences. It's not any one of their personal story, but all of them see themselves in this play, right? Some of you may doubt that some of these things actually happen. Nothing's in the play that they don't know to be true. We're gonna see the play in just a moment, and don't yell stop yet. We're going to do the forum after that, but I'd like you to just watch the play and see if you relate to any of those issues, and if you have any ideas of what the characters could do differently to address their struggle. I want to just say that this is not a play. The students don't all hate school, right? Some of them even like it, but what they're showing is some of the problems that really affect and impact their lives. So. Are there any questions before we go to the theater? All right. Want to make sure. All right. Oh, before we see the play, I'd like you to meet the cast. If the cast could come on stage, please. And I want you to see them as people before you see them as characters. They're not necessarily playing them themselves. All right. Starting here.
David Dodson, I'm 17.
Rose Smith, I am 16.
I'm Ann Lee, I'm 15.
I'm Jessica, 18.
Sage Star, 15.
CJ, 17.
I am Sky Rose and I'm 17.
Cadence McKee and I'm 15.
Edward Lester, and I am 16.
I'm Oliver Yazzie and I'm 16.
I'm Olivia Yazzie, 17.
I'm Elijah Jackson, I'm 17.
If we could go to places for the top of the play, please. Thank you. So, we're going to do a 1, 2, 3 action, collective 1, 2, 3 action to start the play. So with no further ado, we present to you America's Next Top Failure, School Edition. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, action!
Come on, clap!
Woohoo!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to America's Next Top Failure School Edition. I will be your host, Sean Fun Guy. In this, our 3 contestants will be going through our simulated school session. Our first competitor is someone who hasn't been to school in God knows when, Lawrence! All right, contestant number 2 is she's had some trouble in school. She can't really pay attention because of some drug problems at home. Lachey! And contestant number 3 is a soldier for transgender rights. Skylar! And over here we have our wonderful panel of judges, a Algebra 2 teacher, Miss Johnson, and over here we've got our principal, Mr. Robinson. Now, for our very first challenge, we'll be going into Miss Johnson's Algebra 2 classroom and see how our contestants go against all of the challenges we have set up for them. Let's see how they do. All right, thank you very much. Come on, give us some noise. All right, now for our second challenge. Our challengers will go up against Mr. Robinson. Can I please have contestant number 1 on the stage? Lawrence! Come on!
So I hear you missed 13 days of school. Why?
It's because I've been feeling sick.
I read the note your mom sent, but I haven't seen a doctor's note. Why not?
Because my mom been so busy lately.
Okay, well, I have to send you the turn support.
But what about this kid John?
We're not talking about him right now. We're talking about you.
Lawrence, hold on. If I may have a moment. How'd that meeting go for you?
Okay.
feel offended?
Because I feel like he's picking on me because of my color.
All right, thank you very much, Lawrence. All right, can I have contestant number 2 up on the stage? Lachey!
Are you on drugs, Lachey?
You already know the answer to that.
Who's your home life?
You know the answer to that too, and you still haven't helped.
I don't care.
I really need
You're
help.
failing all your classes. Your teachers complain that you're not attentive in class. So if you don't fix it up anytime soon, you're gonna not graduate.
You're ignoring the problems I have. You're a horrible principal and don't care about any students at all.
Lachey. Because that clearly went so heavenly well. What happened to that?
He knows the problems that I have. I have an addiction and I need help, and I've asked him for help, but he just ignores that I need help.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I please have contestant number 3 on the stage? Skylar!
Your teacher tells me you're disruptive in class.
I guess I was, yes.
Why?
I was speaking for transgender rights.
That was not the time nor place to do that. You know this. You've been in here multiple times.
Then when is the right time and place for this?
Not here. I'm gonna suspend you for a week.
Again?
Yes.
Scout.
What?
Scout.
What?
What happened then?
Well, I was standing up for transgender rights, and apparently our principal here doesn't care about everyone, even if they're being picked on for being different, and it's ridiculous.
All right, thank you very much, Skylar. Now you've seen our contestants go through 2 horrifying rounds. Now we're off to the 3rd and final round, the elimination round. Can I please have the contestants back on the stage? Come on, we're not getting any under here.
Woohoo!
Yeah, there we go, yeah! All right, so here we will figure out what our esteemed panel judges think about our contestants. So, start with contestant number 1, Lawrence. Mr. Johnson?
Today, I didn't even know you were a part of my class. I think you're pretty useless in the factory and you'll probably go nowhere, but I'll still pass you.
All right, Mr. Robinson?
Missed 13 days of school, unattentive in class, he's just an utter failure.
All right, thank you very much. How about contestant number 2, Lachey?
You're a useless drug addict. Thank you for providing nothing in life and forever. A failure.
All right.
In other ways to society, she doesn't pay attention in class. I don't know where she's going in her life, so she's a failure.
Good there. All right, how about contestant number 3, Skylar?
Wow, another feminist. Great, just what we need. But I guess you pass.
Disruptive in class, talks about what she thinks, failure.
One harsh principal. All right, so, can you please all give me a minute while I figure out the scores? All right, tolls are in. And America's next top failure is, can I have a drum roll, please? Oh, Lachey! Oh, yeah! So, Lachey, do you have anything you wanted to say to your fellow contestants and or judges?
I was promised more Adderall for doing this.
Well, okay then. I don't believe that is the prize. However, how do you feel winning this?
I feel nothing.
All right, can I have one final round of applause for America's next top failure? Yeah! Oh, sweet failure, how she is so sad.
recognize yourself as any of the characters in this play, either now or in times gone by? How many of you recognize yourself in any way, shape, or form in any of these characters? Okay. How many of you are currently high school age or younger in the audience? Let's just see, show of hands. Okay. Okay, great. What are some of the social problems that you saw going on in this play? Just call it out, name it, just briefly, like in a phrase, a word or phrase. What are some of the social problems you saw happening in this play? Yeah?
Nobody listens to anybody.
Nobody listens to anybody. What else?
Addiction.
Addiction. Yeah? Okay, addiction. What else? Sorry? Classism. Great. What else? A lack of empathy. What else? Just name the things that you saw. There's a lot of pieces. Just want to make sure people are catching it. Prejudice, specifically? LGBT. Okay, yeah, transphobia, I think. Am I?
And race.
Racism. Great. What else? Lack of funding. Lack of funding, right? The infrastructure of the building was definitely a piece that the students, which interestingly to me, I wasn't aware. I mean, I was certainly aware. I mean, there was a recent school bond that failed here, right? Am I understanding that correctly? And where I live in Port Townsend, I think finally a school bond passed, but in Chimicum, the neighboring town, it didn't pass. And I think it's pretty widely known that schools are old, right? There's an old school here. I had no idea how important it was to the students. I just really want to emphasize that. I was actually shocked, and I said, for how many of you is it really, really an important thing? And they all raised their hand. I said, why? And can any of you articulate why the infrastructure felt such to your heart here? Okay, Taven, yeah, great.
Shortly or?
Yeah, just.
Okay, so to me and my fellow peers, the infrastructure failing, we're already bogged down with tests. We're already emotionally unstable. We already don't get any sleep at night. And so when we go to a place where we spend most of our time and we see tiles falling down from the floor, we see black mold, we have heaters that are louder than our teachers talking, it reinforces the idea that our community isn't there for us, that we don't think our community is there for us, and so it's harder for us to achieve and do well in school. Thank you.
Anything else that you saw happening in the play that hasn't been named yet?
Lack of respect.
Lack of respect. Any others? Yeah.
So it was very nuanced, but I think parental overwhelm too, where mom didn't have time to take the doctor to get a note.
Parental overwhelm, and certainly like all kinds of life issues back at home and outside of school. Nobody's named this, but again, this was a piece that really surprised me, the depth of it, the stress and lack of support in the school system for real life issues. Just the teaching the test, basically, but that their real humanity, which is sometimes very challenging, many of the things that you've named are not taken into account by the school system. Okay. All right, so we're going to run the play second time. We saw a fair number of hands of young people in the house. How many of you were ever a teenager? I'm not seeing every hand up. I had a friend describe another friend. He said, he was never a kid. Right? If you can remember what it was like to be a teenager, I mean, ideally in theater of the oppressed, although Auguste Bois would say, it's great for people who don't struggle with the issue to come step in someone's shoes. Maybe, well, first of all, they may learn something because you speculate a little bit, right? Stepping into someone else's shoes. But also maybe if you don't have the pain of living in that marginalized body, you may have some ideas outside of the oppression that may be of value. But what we don't want to see tonight is you coming in and just creating magic, creating completely unrealistic versions of those characters. You're going to play the truth of the character. So adults can certainly come in. I'm going to defer to the youth first here, but adults can certainly come in and play youth. You can play across gender. You're still playing the truth of that character to the best of your ability, and we'll know that if you're not of that bodysuit, that demographic, that you're in part speculating, okay? We're gonna run this again. When you see a character that you see struggling with a problem, the cast has identified 3 protagonists, the 3 students, the 3 contestants. There may be other characters that you see struggling that you'd like to take the place of, but I want to be careful. We have a kind of a conglomerate of principal characters, not based on the current principal here, I just want to say, and an archetype teacher type character. Those are things that really happen. I mean, I said, do teachers really call you stupid? How many of you believe that is true? Have never been called stupid by a teacher? Yeah, I was shocked. Teachers actually throw things at you. How many of you know that to be true? A lot of hands going up. They all went, yes, this stuff happens, right? What do you do? But what you don't want to come up is play the principal and suddenly be the ideal principal, or be the teacher and, hey, I'm really sorry, I'm not going to throw things at you. You're not stupid. That's waving a magic wand. It's not really useful. Yes, we learned what you would like, but that's not what they're dealing with, right? So that's what we're trying to work with. So we're going to run this form. Somebody will yell stop. You'll come up on stage. You'll take the place of that actor who's playing the character. You'll tell us where you want to go from, and then you try out your idea. And then the other characters left on stage will adapt, like a virus, to what you are trying. They will do their best to play the truth of the character. Change is not easy. These scenes would not be up on stage if they were easy. And then we'll analyze that tactic, and then we'll take another person, and we'll just keep running the play, and we may take 2, 3, 4 tactics for the same moment. We'll work a few different moments, and we'll run the forum a little shorter than we normally do because we have the whole legislative theater piece. So by about 8 o'clock, in about 45 minutes, we're gonna wind up this forum. Are there any questions about the rules of the game that are about to happen? Purely voluntary, by the way. Alrighty. So, actors, please take your place for the top of the play. We're going to run the play again. If nobody else stopped, we'll just see the exact same play again, pretty much the way they did it the first time. So please, let's try to change this. So, America's Next Top Failure School Edition, take 2. 1, 2, 3,
Action!
Come on! Alright, I am your host, Sean Fungi, and I want to welcome all of you to America's Next Top Failure School Edition. Here we'll have 3 contestants going through our simulated school and all of its challenges. Our first contestant hasn't been to school in God knows when. Lawrence! Our second contestant has been a little off at school because of drug problems at home. Lachey! And our third contestant is a soldier for transgender equality, Skylar! Alright, and over here, we have our amazing panel of judges. Algebra 2 teacher Miss Johnson, and our principal Mr. Robinson. Now, we'll go into challenge number 1, where our contestants will have to survive all of the challenges in Miss Johnson's Algebra 2 classroom. Let's see how they do. Come on!
Hurry, you're so slow. Jesus.
we have our first spectator. You have been spectating.
Okay, Jerry. So who are you coming up on stage for, Jerry? Who are you going to read? Okay, so you just assumed. Okay, so you're coming in for Skylar here, okay? So Jerry, you're playing a 17-year-old student. Okay. Tell them where you want to go from.
Right from her standing on the chair explaining, and hey guys, you know, I know it may make you feel uncomfortable.
I'm a theater director, I can't help
I know that it may make you feel uncomfortable, but why don't you think of it in a different way? Realize that all of us are very different and unique, and all we really want to have is love.
Guys, this isn't going to work. You tried this 3 weeks ago and they got you suspended, okay?
Well, that was arguing with the principal. I'm trying to reach you. I don't care what he thinks. That's not my day, okay? Just sit down. Everybody has a right to their opinion. Yes, they do, and I will. But I want you to think a little bit harder about where you are. What would I do if I had to sit there and say, you have pink hair? God, I don't want to talk to you. Or you can't use my bathroom because you're pink hair. Yeah, I suppose that's true.
It's not like you change your genders or anything.
What difference does it make? What difference does it make? What is different about you?
Because
why are you in judgment?
Temporary, but theirs is permanent.
You're sitting in judgment, and that's the problem. We're all sitting in judgment if we're not taking care of everybody else in a way that is accepting and loving. Would you like it if you came to school and everybody, oh my God, I don't want to talk to him. He's got pink hair. Maybe he's a girl. Maybe he is transgender. Oh, I better not talk to him anymore. How would you feel about that?
I don't like that though.
Oh, you're not? Why do you say that? Huh? You don't know. You really don't know. And it hasn't to do anything to really do with the transgender part. It has to do with the judgment of what you're experiencing. That's.
Thank you. So I just want to clarify. So you were still trying to convince them, as Skylar was, that what they were doing was wrong, and help me understand exactly what the difference was. One is you stayed calm, right? One is you stayed calm, and were you trying to turn it back on them? How would you feel if somebody treated you differently?
I'm not sitting in judgment of what they're feeling at all. They can continue to feel it. It's not a judgment on them. What I'm trying to say is, why are we judging everybody for their uniqueness?
Thank you. I'm going to take a seat. So I'm asking the characters here, did anything shift for you? I mean, you were still saying that isn't going to work. You got in trouble last time. You were still standing up. Did anything shift for any of your characters with that? In any way? No, I'm seeing not really. You were still, why did you get a little bit calmer though? Yeah.
Well, I think that since Skylar wasn't all screaming and yelling and standing on the chair and being loud, I think we were able to calm down, I guess.
Okay, so less drama created less drama back, but the opinions weren't really shifted. Okay, great. Let's go back. Let's take it from the teacher entering, please. From the teacher entering here, and we'll run the scene a little bit further. Everybody else stop. Also, you can use your white cards throughout this forum if you want to start sending proposals, and you get 2 maximum. There's 2 white cards, 2 maximum per person. Please do not write on the red, yellow, and green cards. Thanks. Yes, top of the scene.
All right, class. So today we're going to be learning all of this. Well, I don't particularly feel like teaching you at all.
not really, and it's not really cool to just go into somebody's conversation.
Class! Seriously? Be quiet! What could it be this time?
I was voicing for the transgender equality.
Is this really the place for that?
I think so, yes.
I would say you're mistaken, and to get out of my class, go to Mr. Robinson's office.
Fine.
Are you okay?
No, I think it's like the black mold or something in here.
I'm gonna go get Mr. Hurry up! This is ceiling tile. This place is falling apart.
All right, so just for fun, we're going to run this scene again. We could run this scene all night. Okay, we have a stop. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. I usually warm audiences up, but because it's a long evening, I'm trying to move it along. Please come. Thank you. Good. I was trusting Port Angeles is all cooked up and ready to go here. Good. What's your name?
Grace.
Okay, Grace. And who are you coming in for?
The teacher.
Now, you think the teacher is struggling because we're not waving a magic wand and making the nice teacher that we all want, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm really nervous, so I'm just gonna say that.
That is great.
This is really uncomfortable.
Yeah, how many of you are nervous to come up on stage? Just raise your hands. You are far from alone, but thank you for the boldness to come up here. So the only thing that I'll say is this can't be a magic wand. If you're going to uncover what the teacher is struggling with, then you're in. Otherwise, you got to come in as one of the students.
Okay.
We're not putting a Band-Aid on the problem. We're trying to really get inside the struggle.
Well, can I try?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Do my ability.
Where do you want to go?
All right. I wanted to go from where you asked your question about the number 4. Sure, something like that.
Mrs. Johnson, is it the 6th floor?
No, it's not, but I was, I noticed that you had had some similar difficulties with this equation before, so I was just kind of wondering how you got there. What led you to the 4?
Well, it says it in the book, and usually you copy the formula from the book onto the board, so just correct.
Okay. Oh, thanks. I guess I must have missed that then.
Okay, great. So this is what I want to ask you to do, if you're willing. So we're seeing the teacher that you'd like this person to be, right? One that engages and is willing to acknowledge maybe you were wrong. I mean, how many of you have had teachers like that have corrected themselves when you challenge them? Okay, so that's the teachers that we want, but that's not this teacher, and that's not some of the teachers that these students have. Would you be willing to play that role against our teacher and see how you can maybe try to accomplish what you... It's a bigger challenge from this role, and again, you're playing it, 16-year-old girl. Yeah, for that, it's a soft tip. Okay. It's a felt tip. Yeah, do you want to take it from the line of, isn't that supposed to be a 4?
Mrs. Johnson, isn't that supposed to be a 4?
Right here?
Yeah.
No, you're utterly wrong. Once more, you always get everything wrong in this class. Why are you so stupid?
Well, I've been trying to go to a math tutor after school.
You should do better. You're really horrible at this.
This sucks.
I'm asking you, you said you don't have to stay here, but it's a tough challenge. That's not what you came on stage for. So you just said it sucks. Can you say a little bit about what it feels like to be treated in this manner by a teacher?
Yeah, I just feel like shutting down kind of because I want to be good at math, but I don't feel encouraged to explore explore it. So I just feel really shut down and kind of affirmed that I suck at math by my teacher who's supposed to help me. So.
And any ideas of what one might do when those messages and pens are coming at you?
I feel like, smoking weed or something, but I don't know.
And there we go, right? Therein lies the part of the problem. Thank you, Grace. Thank you so much. Anybody else want to come in? Actually, I want to ask if any of the under 21s want to come into this role when this happens. Anyone? Got quite a few in the house tonight. Kira, okay, let's give Kira a big round of applause. Thank you. It's not the dress code, young lady. You got bare feet in school. Just kidding. Okay. Okay, where do you want to go from here?
I'll correct her. Wait, what is your name?
Miss Johnson.
Miss Johnson, isn't that supposed to be a 4 instead of a 6?
The 6 right here?
Yeah. I
Wow.
4.
Wow. Wow. You're wrong. You're really, really wrong. You're stupid. I can't believe you. You just what?
I'm not stupid. I know that that's a 4. You can look in the
I've
book.
been doing this all my life. I know what I'm talking about. You yap your mouth. You're a
If you know what
student.
you're talking
Put yourself
about,
in your
look in the
place.
book. Look in the book. I know that it's a 4. My sister taught me a song.
Aw, a
to
song,
memorize
is
the
that right?
quadratic formula because you didn't teach it to me.
Oh, that's so
It's
cute.
a 4. Look at it. Here, you've got my book.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, come
Well, I'm
take
the
a look.
teacher, so I'm correct. So stop
Do you
trying to
know?
correct me, or I will
Do you
send
know?
you to the office as well.
Do you know?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a 4.
It's a 4.
It's a 4.
Stop being stupid.
You're not stupid.
No, I'm not stupid. I stand up for rights.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Again?
yes.
No.
You haven't gone to the office yet. man.
Okay, so we can see where this is escalating. Okay. Okay, so basically you're standing up for what you know is right to the teacher, even in the face of the teacher saying no. And another student started to join you. There's an interesting solidarity. Is there anything that you want to say about how it felt as the teacher when the student stood up and challenged you to look at the book?
Don't challenge my authority.
Did you start to think that maybe you were wrong?
No, I believe in myself. Gosh.
Okay, what did any of you, did this bring, how did it feel when the student was standing up to the teacher just around the material, not, yeah?
It was inspirational. I felt like I could stand up to the teacher again and stand up for everyone's rights again.
How many of you believe that you could stand up to the teacher even if you know, if you know that the teacher is not correct? I see some hands, not many. How many of you think it might not be so easy to do that? Why? Why? Yeah, Rowan.
I think you could. I think there would be consequences.
Like,
Getting kicked out of the class or suspension. There definitely would be some penalty, or even just being blackballed and sort of, labeled as a bad kid.
yeah.
As someone who did this exact same thing in a science classroom setting, she didn't understand the difference between lava and magma. And she had a bit of, I think, a complex because she was forced to teach a subject that she didn't enjoy teaching. And because I corrected her to benefit the class because I understood it, from that day on, everything I did in class she just considered wrong. So it was something I felt was really important because science education is a really big part of my life and what I want people to understand. But just the fact that for so many teachers that are in, really frustrating positions, not justifying their abuse of students, but when you're in a school where you're have a job in a place you don't feel pride in, you're dealing with a lot of stuff on your own part, and you use it to attack students. It's just both sides of the situation.
So could you all get that? Okay, sorry, we'll mic people. We're not going to do a lot of talking from the audience, but that was an important thing. So in your experience, you have done just that in a science class, challenging a teacher, and you know it was right, and you think it's important. And I also heard a lot of empathy from you about the challenge of being a teacher. It's a difficult job on lots of levels. Somebody came up on stage yesterday for the teacher and basically said, I am beleaguered. I'm exhausted. I'm in a system that doesn't support me. I'm going to retire soon. I'm just wiped out. So there's empathy, yet there was consequence.
Yeah, my mother was.
Yeah.
My mother was a teacher at Port Angeles High School for years and years, so I do have a bit of an understanding of how difficult it can be. In my experience with the teachers, it's just like they're dealing with their own stuff, and a lot of times it's easier to pick on the smaller people. And like with my case, because I was actually trying to explain to her what she got wrong, she ended up failing me and purposefully put in an assignment that didn't exist in our class, so I couldn't pass. So it's something that happens, and it's not okay. So I think teachers need to be held accountable, like regardless of the stresses of their job, but we also need to find ways to support our teachers in the stress they're going through.
So we may be actually, this is good seeds for legislative theater. You think about how can we do this? Just simply standing up, it sounds like there's consequence. Do you agree? If you stand up to a teacher, is there a risk of consequence? Great, thank you. But it's important to you that something happened to hold teachers accountable. The question is how. Those white cards might be a place to propose those ideas. Thank you, Kira. Good. Okay. Anybody else want to come in for this moment? For this moment here? Okay. Anybody else want to come in for Skylar, our soldier for transgender rights? Anybody will have an idea of what you might do as Skylar? Really? Okay, I see a hand. Thank you. You raised your hand and you don't know what have I done. Yes, great. What's your name?
Jess.
Jess? Okay, Jess. So please come right in.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna work.
Well, and I don't know if this is going to work is a beautiful place to come from. And even if it, quote, fails, we learn as much from what doesn't work as what does. So it's beautiful to come up and try. If we don't try, nothing's going to change, right? Okay, good.
I guess from the point where I'm like standing up and then you chime in. I can't remember what I was.
There's been comments here. It's disgusting, right?
Could you part where you jump up and talk?
Yeah. Go for it.
How are you? I'm the shy
This is
one.
the character of Rick. Rick. Okay. Yeah.
Sit down, fat lover. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm gonna take a moment because that was pretty harsh. I'm gonna share this over here and say, excuse me, Mrs. Some students are using some homophobic slurs over here, and I don't feel like that is probably allowed in class, and I'm not sure what the protocol is to address that.
Well, it really isn't my problem, actually. I would talk to somebody else.
Okay, so there's some hateful language being used.
Talk to somebody else. Definitely.
Okay, who would that be?
Maybe the principal. Make him deal with that. Yeah.
Okay, could I Can I be sent to the principal? Because it's really important.
Okay, good. So when the slurs happen, so there's transphobic and homophobic slurs. They're different issues, but there's overlap for sure. You go, wow, this is harsh, and you go to the teacher for help. How come you're not helping?
I don't want to be a part of it either.
I don't care.
You don't care?
No, of course I don't. Why would I? No.
Okay, is it because you're homophobic or transphobic?
Of course, isn't everybody else?
Okay, and that's this teacher, but let me ask, is it possible that also you don't, I mean, it sounds like you just didn't even know how to deal with it.
I didn't find it my responsibility. I didn't need to deal with it. I didn't need the other kids to look at me weird and see down on my authority, so I sent her elsewhere.
Okay, so now you're going to go to the principal, right? Come to the principal. Yeah, just stay here. I'll stay here. So come to the principal's office. Okay? No, I think you have chosen to go, right? You have chosen to go. She wasn't sending you.
yeah.
You said, can I be sent to the principal, right?
Thanks for meeting with me. I just wanted to share with you an experience that I had in my class where some kids were talking about people using bathrooms, and specifically transgender people using bathrooms, and there were some slurs thrown out, and I felt that that was really inappropriate and hurtful, especially if there was anyone gay or trans in the room. And I wanted to know how the school addresses those types of issues.
Totally, yeah. You can fill out this form right here, and then if you get your counselor in about 4 weeks, we'll have to have a meeting with you, and we'll bring the student in. We'll also bring the teacher in, but it can take about 4 weeks to process that form, and then afterwards, I can't really say what's going to happen.
Okay, well, that sounds like a pretty cool process, but do you know why it takes 4 weeks to address?
Not my department, I'm sorry.
Do you have any advice for what I should do in the meantime if this comes up again?
Make sure you study finals are coming up.
Okay, but for like my emotional well-being, is there something?
We have your academic counselors who can help you like get on the right track so you like are successful academically.
No, because I feel like the point is kind of across, and I feel like if that's really what people are dealing with, like, I mean, I don't know another solution except for maybe getting like parents involved, but who knows if the parents actually are on the same.
Well, and it sounds like you have a lot of ideas. Getting the parents involved is another one you could try.
The forum, I'm gonna go with the forum. I mean, it's
great. So your tactic is to very quickly, when you're running into a roadblock with the teacher, go to the top of the school. What's going on? How you give her the form, but what you seem like you're avoiding the issue. What's going on, Mr. Robinson?
I mean, I have the entire school board to answer to, and they're very, very touchy around these subjects and don't want to deal with it. So I've been told to just kind of let it slide or not really deal with the problem and just make sure that the students are successful. Otherwise, we don't get funding.
Real? Real? I'm seeing a lot of nods. Right. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Great. Anybody else want to come in for the Schuyler character? It could be in the classroom with the principal. Please come. Thank you very much. Big round of applause, please. Catherine?
No, I was hoping to do the teacher.
So you're not going to wave a magic wand and be the teacher that we want?
No way.
Okay, so you're the teacher, and what point do you want to go from?
I want to go point from how teachers assume things.
Okay, so which part of the play? What are the lines going on?
I want to go from the way beginning where I come in and then that sick guy comes in.
Okay, so just before we're going to get Lawrence, the character of Lawrence, to come back in. So just before Lawrence enters.
Good morning, everybody. Today we're having finals. So I know that not many people understand it. So people who want to learn, come in the front. People who don't care, just go in the back. Hey, what's going on? Why are you coming in my room?
I will complain.
Do you have a pass?
No, I don't.
How come, huh?
Because
Go sit down in the back. You don't want to learn anything. What's wrong with you guys?
Mrs. Johnson, isn't the 6 supposed to be a 4?
The 6 right here?
Yeah?
Does anybody else think this is? Right? You? Anybody else? No? Well, you two, I'm glad you guys are in the back. That is totally wrong. It's supposed to be a 6. Any more questions? Yes?
Will you stand up for transgender rights?
Catherine, you scared a lot of students to the back of the classroom. And so you were trying to show what, just so we're very clear?
Well, in my science class, that's kind of what was happening. That's what many people do. There was a lot of trouble. So my science teacher said people who want to learn, stand in front, people who doesn't just go in the back. So a lot of people went in the back, but some naughty kids who like mess around stay in the front. And so then they would go back and forth, and they said they wanted to learn it. And the teacher just assumed, since they caused a lot of trouble, that they didn't want it all. And so since they didn't go in the back, they were sent to the principal office. So I just wanted to say that's what mostly happens, that teachers just assume things. They don't want to do anything with it, so they just send them off so they don't have to deal with it.
Right. So you were showing us from your experience even a larger amount of assumptions by a teacher.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So it'd be thank you. You're all going to sign up for that class again next year, right? They're petrified of it. Okay. Anybody else want to come in for this Skylar character? Yes, please. Thank you. Come. Thank you. Jasira. Okay, Jasira. What time? What point in the play or the scene do you want to go from? So they've already said this is disgusting, and okay, so I'm going to give you the mic. Yeah. And I'm going to turn you just a little bit just so we get what you're trying to do. Yeah.
Why in any way do you think that hate speech is appropriate in the classroom?
Well, we don't really care about it, and we're talking about it, and you're sitting here interrupting our talk here. Free country, we can talk about what we want.
Well, we do have freedom of speech, but freedom of speech allows me to challenge your speech as well. I don't want to sit down. What? I don't care if I get in trouble.
Please sit down. It doesn't have anything to do with you.
I think
So why are you getting involved here?
it may not have anything to do with me, but on behalf of people who do not have a voice, I am speaking for them. So I'm going to talk to our teacher because I do know that all of the classrooms at our school do have anti-hate speech and anti-bullying rules set up. So, Mrs. Johnson, I know you should be aware of this as a teacher, but our classroom has anti-hate speech and anti-slur, like bullying rules, and they're occurring in the class. So what is your job? Would you please address it?
Well, what I can do is ask that you all don't speak about it. And if there's any other further problems, you can still talk to the principal, do referrals, all this paperwork.
Okay.
That sometimes gets something not done.
Well, I do think you may think it's not your problem right now, but you understand that by your silence that you may have students in our class who are LGBT, who are seeing your example being set as not addressing these things, and you as an authority figure are showing them that they don't matter.
It's very hard for me to come in and say no to their opinions as well, even if it's hate, so it's kind of...
You sure had an easy time telling them no when they had the right answer.
Oh, because I'm right.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, very different tactics. You didn't deflect quite as much as usual. You were, what was going on? You seemed a little stuck.
She was much more polite about the entire situation, but I felt a little bad for her. But there's not much I can quite particularly do, in my opinion.
There's not much you can do, but she was basically naming a policy that's in place. There is a policy in the local schools. Yes, those of you that raise your hand if you know that there are policies and anti-hate speech. Okay, do you all know that there's a policy and anti-hate speech? Raise your hand if you know this. A couple, some of you do, some of you don't. Okay, so you've done your research to know what's in place around this, and you were not just speaking for trans people, you were speaking for all voiceless people.
This scene in particular really stood out to me because I had a really similar experience with the issues of my race in class. One student was making fun of me, and I was really upset, and I asked the teacher, aren't you going to do anything about it? And he kicked me out of the classroom.
Just what happened here.
But what I ended up doing was I ended up lucking out because I got a really good counselor, and I told them if they weren't going to do anything on the school level about it, then I would just report it to someone beyond the school, which I know is not easy for a lot of students to do, but I think there really do need to be ways for students to like hold their teachers accountable with their own issues and be able to report it instead of going through all the like mumbo jumbo at the school board.
So you're suggesting that after this, because this teacher clearly doesn't know what to do with it, right? And maybe is homophobic and transphobic, or maybe not, but clearly isn't helping. Where do you go to the school counselor, or who do you go to beyond this moment?
See, this is where I wish, I don't actually know. I think the counselor just really did talk to him, but I just wish there was some sort of way for students to know like their rights as students and being able to report this to stuff for someone outside of the whole
Check out those white cards, right there, they're here, this is where we're at. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of students feel like they're afraid of getting expelled, getting suspended for sticking up for themselves. And so there's students going to class where like people are literally voicing their hatred for them for existing, and that's just completely unacceptable. And the fact that teachers aren't able to do anything because either they don't care or they're afraid that it's going to compromise their jobs, as well as like the principals and stuff.
It's complicated.
Yeah, it really is.
But there has to be some place
Yeah.
to go, some place to go. What is that, right? We don't know yet. Good. Thank you so much. Great. Great, thank you. Great. What's your name? Natasha. You're coming in for Skylar again? Okay, and where do you want to go from? Okay, so from the start, it's disgusting, okay? Yeah, from your lines, nice and loud.
I saw this guy going into a girl's bathroom. I think it's really disgusting and gross.
Oh my god, yeah, that was like really gross.
I know that I'm not really part of this conversation, but it's not really nice to talk about people behind their back. And even though I'm not really a part of this conversation, I shouldn't really be butting in, but how would you feel if someone was talking about you behind your back? You probably wouldn't like it if you had that bad.
Actually, like hair. So that's just.
Well, you say that now because you don't know if anyone is talking about you behind your back, but if you found out that someone was talking bad about you behind your back, you'd probably feel really bad about yourself.
No, not really.
Well, you don't really know that. So just kind of put yourself in their shoes. Like, how would they, like, if you were in their position and they're already having it hard enough, like, them being as they are, but, like, maybe they're proud of it.
But you see, we have
Hey,
we can talk
I'm
about
not talking. I'm not talking to you though. Why are you letting into our conversation?
Stop.
Well, they can't do that because it's not fair.
Well, life isn't fair.
Well, I want to get fair because if I have rights, then I will stand up for them.
But you're one person.
And I will march proudly as one person.
But what if you get taken down?
Then I'll bring my mom into the matter. She is a very supportive person.
Okay, good. So let's just take that point. Great. So, Natasha, a couple of things. Share your insight. So, first there was a number of apologies. I shouldn't be butting in, but, right? How would you feel if somebody was talking behind your back? Clearly, I don't care. The next step is to bring mom, and then we can see where it's going again. It's escalating again. Do you want to bring mom in? What does that look like?
Well, my mom's like one of those people who's like, hey, if you're gonna talk bad about someone, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna stand up for what my kid believes in. Because my mom, like you could even ask Katie, just like she knows my family really well. But my mom is like, hey.
Is your mom here?
No, she's not.
I was just fishing. Would you find someone to play your and who do you go to? Do you go to the principal?
Well, if you don't know if the principal's gonna help, so normally I personally always go to my mom first and ask her what to do, and then she like gives me tips from them.
So here's my challenge to you. Tell mom what you want mom to do, and we'll have somebody play mom, and you two will do it.
You can have Cadence play my mom. She knows my mom pretty well.
Cadence, would you be willing to play her mom? Okay, and what do you do? So, going to a parent for support around human rights in the school, okay? But I'm asking you to actually initiate the idea. Where do we go from here?
Mom, you will step in.
Yeah, I can go in and talk to your principal with you if you need me to.
Is it the principal that you want to talk to, or is there somebody else that you want to talk to? Where do you go? What do you do with the principal?
I think that we should go to the kids' parents and talk to their parents about it.
Okay. Go talk to their parents about it. Just figure out where their
Okay,
parents
and how do you find which kids' parents? These?
Yeah.
How do you find their parents?
Well, you saw them.
So who do we go to? Principal? We've seen this principal is probably not the best solution. Yeah, Luke.
I'm going to interrupt my job to do this. Go to the school board. Go above the superintendent, go above everybody, go to the top of the line.
Go to the school board. I sure wish we had some of the board here tonight. We had 3 here last night. Who understands how the school board operates here and would be willing to play a school board member? Rowan, please come. Go to the school board. Let's just see. Okay? And this will probably be the last piece of our forum. I mean, we could do this all night, but we're going to move to legislative theater soon. Okay, I'm going to have you come a little bit further down stage. Those math problems are looming. Sorry. Okay, and so this is student, parent going to the school board. And how do we get a meeting with the school board? Do we just call? How does it happen?
Public comment.
You send a lot of emails, you make a lot of demands, and
Just
then,
walk in and act like
then you
you're-
go to a school board meeting and corner them.
What I will say is Rowan knows a lot from this role. So she knows what she's had to face. Let's see your reality of this meeting.
Hi, so we've been noticing that there's a lot of people like shaming transgender people and like gay people. And in my classroom there was people like being really rude about it and saying how gross it was. But I don't really think that it was fair because it's not their fault for them being who they are and expressing who they are.
Wow, I'm so happy and proud that you followed the protocols and that you came to me with this. It really says a lot about you being in touch with your school, and that's really great. So, yeah, thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Are you going to do anything about it? 'Cause
Well, I think that maybe you don't understand my role as a school board member.
well, maybe you don't understand my role as a student because me being a student, I should be there to help others and stop bullying because bullying is what pushes most people to commit suicide, and I don't think you want that.
Oh, she's so precious. She's really precious. That's great. Yeah. So, again, I'm going to say you maybe don't understand my role as a school board member. I don't actually make policy in the school. My role is primarily to, help make sure that we hire the correct superintendent. And I think that, in general, we're really happy to sort of hear what you have to say. And if you want to maybe write up what you're thinking, and then you can send it to me. And I'm happy to next month maybe present it at the school board meeting.
My role is
Good. Thank you, Rowan. Natasha, thank you. Well, wait, let me actually ask you. First of all, for those that know, real, yes, for maybe not every single school board member, but did that feel real? Yeah. Seeing mostly nods. Okay, how did it feel going with your parent to a school board member and getting appreciated, but not much more than that?
Well, personally, Katie's was not doing a good impression of my mom because my mom would have stepped in and said, hey, you know what, if you're not going to do your job, then I will go to someone higher than you and make sure that they come down to you, and you're probably going to end up getting fired and or losing your job to someone that can do your job better because my mom's just like,
Great, thank you, good. Getting help. How un-American. Sorry. Okay, do you want to come up? Okay, I'm curious what you're going to do. Thank you. It's getting one more round of applause. This is the last one because we really need to share.
was that a transgender kid went into the girls' bathroom, but I don't think it was fair for them to talk about it that way.
I can tell this really bothers you. Did you talk to the teacher about it?
No, my teacher's not really an understanding person, and she just doesn't care about what happens in the classroom really. She's more of like, hey, I'm right, you're wrong, get out.
Is there any other teacher you do feel connected with that would listen?
There's the counselor, but I don't know if the counselor will really listen because I don't really talk to the counselor, but I think that, and I want to get this issue covered before, like, as soon as possible, and I don't want it to take forever.
But you mentioned the counselor. Their job is to help and listen and support you. They're also a person who can get your contacts and talk to the other student as well. So why don't we just start there?
So Kimberly said she's a counselor. So let me ask you all, do you think that there's somebody in your school that you could approach, a teacher, that actually gets it? How many of you believe that there's a teacher in your school that you could approach? I see most of the hands going up. And do you think that you would do that? Why or why not? Any of you, why or why not go to a teacher? Yeah, hold on. If there's a teacher that you believe, because this teacher doesn't get it, isn't helpful, we've seen that the principal isn't particularly helpful, is there a teacher in the school, in real life? I'm kind of asking you all personally, this is not your characters now, right? Is there a teacher, and if so, would you actually get help or try to get help from that teacher?
No matter what school I've been to, there's always at least one teacher every single year that I always feel connected to on a more personal level. And I personally feel speaking up to that teacher, they would be able to deal with the other teacher on a more personal level. Plus, I doubt there would be too much I don't think that teacher would the other teacher would hold a grudge against you because whoever you're talking to would usually keep you anonymous. Yeah.
Any other of the young people want to speak to that? Would you actually do this? Yeah. All right. So, getting help, finding an ally, whether it be a parent, a teacher, going to the school board, going to some entity that maybe hasn't even been created yet, right? Getting help. It's a big one. Okay. All right. At GSA, does the school have a gay-straight alliance?
Yes, it does, but they don't do anything. I was there for 2 years, and seriously, all we did was sit around and eat lunch. All the like gay or LGBT people. I went into it hoping it was actually going to be something. I tried to do something, but then no one there was really had the drive to do anything.
Well, eating lunch is important too.
Well, yes.
And I just thought that might be a place where the kids could go and formulate ideas between them. They could talk about the issue and come up with a solution.
I'm seeing a lot of hands up, and I would like to hear, I'm going to hold you for a sec, I'd like to hear these two comments, and then I must move on so we can get the legislative theater going.
So this is slightly different, but why, instead of trying to address to an adult, don't you ask why people are so against it? For instance, the students. I mean, at some point you're all on the same level, like saying everything, so why, I mean, none of us are the same. None of us have the same skin tone, nothing. So why to any particular person is a transgender so much more different than, anything else that you are yourself? So.
I think you're asking the same question Skylar's asking, but in different words.
Yeah. Well, at some point, adults have other things and stuff like that is on the down low, and I feel like they don't have time for that. Like, I had issues because I'm Russian. So at some point you go to the students and you ask, why are you singling me out because I'm white? I I have two legs and two hands, and, you know, why am I so different than you are? You know, so.
Thank you.
I would like to respond to your answer. I think as a high school student, you're very vulnerable, and I don't think it's very easy to be able to talk about your situation without being made fun of or feeling really exposed. And I think it's just very hard for teens to be more expressive about their problems, even to other students or even their parents or counselors. So yeah.
Yeah, and Skylar does do that, but we see what happens to Skylar. Gets in trouble with her peers, gets in trouble with the teacher, gets in trouble with the principal. Yeah, and there are people in our cast who have been suspended for speaking out about issues of passion about. Yeah.
So to address what she said, I've had actually many situations common to this, maybe not the exact same subject, but the thing is, it's really hard when you're in school, is people aren't going to look at what you're saying logically. They're going to look at it as you're just going against what they're saying. You're not believing the same thing they are. They'll insult you, they'll go against everything and find every single angle to make you upset even more, even if it's not about the subject. So it's really hard to get into a teenager, a children, anyone's mind sometimes, even some adults.
Well, okay, she kind of stole my idea on that one. However, to elaborate on the taking things more emotionally rather than logically, there we go. At that exact moment, Rick would be filled with emotion, so you couldn't take that on very logically. However, I feel like she was trying to get to the point where, like, later on, when no one's really super emotional, going up later and talking to him, perhaps say, at lunch. If you go up to Rick, usually they'd be in a group of people who also go with that ed, who also think relatively the same he does. So not just would you have to deal with him if he disagreed with you, you'd have to deal with a whole group of people disagreeing with you. And even if you see him and talk to him one-on-one in the hallway, he's still gonna cause a giant scene because he's gonna go straight to emotional defense. He's not gonna go to logical defense. I've never seen anyone go to logical defense.
Alrighty. So we have to shift gears. Lots of ideas brewing and cooking. That's fantastic. First, I want to thank the cast for their work on the play. And for all of the spectators, the audience members that were courageous enough to come up on that stage. So, in a moment, we're going to take a little break, and I want you to know what happened last night. So while if some of you have already been writing proposals on those white cards, please print legibly so they can actually read them, and then I have to read them, right? So some will be selected, right? There may be 100 of cards that go there. They're going to cull them down. They're going to get rid of the ones that are already in place to their knowledge. They're going to get rid of the ones that are absolutely so off the wall that they're not worth our conversation. And then they're going to group together the ones, maybe there's 12 of you that are saying the same thing. They're just going to pick one. But I want you to know what happened last night because we're not going to duplicate, okay? We worked with 7 proposals. Just bear with me. So these are the ones that were worked last night. This one passed, both with the youth and the adults. Create a student advisory council that reports to county or city government. That one passed last night for both the youth and the adult community. Another one, which passed with, did not, it actually failed, just so you know. Have a state income tax to provide funding for decent schools, provide training for teachers so they are better able to deal with today's problems of students. That one failed for both youth and students. There was one that was proposed, but just so you know, this is already in place. Passed a school district-wide directive supporting transgender use of their bathroom of choice. That's already in place. Almost no one in the room, youth or adult, knew that. Just an FYI. Okay? Here's another one that this one passed with adults and failed with youth. Education about addiction, a drug intervention program within the school district. And then unisex bathrooms passed for adults and failed for the youth. Okay? This one, create a restorative justice process for conflict resolution that is not punitive, but builds relationships and community. That one passed for both adults and youth. This one was almost a unanimous pass for everybody in the room. Children exhibiting signs of illness, drug abuse, gender issues, etc. need in-school support outside the classroom and the principal's office. What that is, we don't know, right? And then finally, this one passed with adults, failed with students. Establish a student ombudsman office to deal with student complaints. So, that's some background. We're going to take a 10-minute break. It may be a little bit longer than that, a 10-minute break. Please, as quickly as possible, get your cards to our panel of experts. You can just hold them up and Eileen will pick them up. Enjoy your break. We'll see you in about 10 or 15 minutes, then we'll do some voting on proposals.
use them.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're That's 55 plus 1. That's how you get elected to office. What's the difference? What's the difference? If people are opposed to taxation, get out. If they don't get out. I mean, if the guys who are running the budget are elected with 50% plus 1 vote, and they deal with all kinds of money matter, why does it have a difference? For me, it isn't.
So what's your question? Yeah.
I can see why we're bringing so many technical workers.
So as you're writing, I know we're still in break, but remember there were other scenes that we didn't work a lot on. That includes the infrastructure, that includes the perhaps racial elements to the truancy case.
They actually did very good for students. They're very brave.
Oh, yeah.
I hope that's off.
So Maggie, I was sorry to hear your comments at the league forum about juvie, that we can just send our kids to kids at. I mean,
that is went out. No, not me. I said Mr. Jones said that when I went in and asked him how we could cut our budget because he won't. I know that's how it came across. I know.
That's not a good option at all. There's just,
and
how do you get parent involvement and you
exactly.
get mowers? I mean, it's just been shown that it doesn't work.
He wants to cut 8 people at the juveniles. I mean, he went down a list of people and he said I can cut out.
And you know the problem I have with that is they have cut juvie and they've cut juvie and they've cut juvie, and every time the sheriff comes in, they go, "Oh, let us know what you want, and we'll get it for you."
I'm very
He
upset.
gets anything he wants, and it's juvie they decide to cut time and time and time. I went one time and said, "You know what?
Just in case this is on."
I went to one time and said, "You know what? You've cut all these things. You need to restore at least one person at juvie," and they went, "Oh, well, look at the budget." So I came back the next day and I said, "Okay, instead of paving the fairground parking lot, you could put that money and have another person out at juvie." You know what they said? "Oh, well, that's all right. The paving the ground's already in the budget."
When I
This
went
was
in
many
and,
years ago.
When I went in and talked to him, and I said, "Okay, I'm hearing that because our reserves are at 9.2, and you've given everybody back their concessions and everything that we've promised them for the last 3 years, we've brought it forward, and we've taken it out of the reserves. What will you do?" And the first thing he said was 8 people off the top from the juvenile center, and I said, "Well, if you take 8 people out of the juvenile center, you still have to fund what's going on out there. So what are you saving?"
And you have 24/7 coverage.
And if you have children out there, and we have to transport, we have to have somebody on staff 24/7. We have to transport. So my question to him is, what will you say? And I said, if you don't make that decision goes before the county commissioners. So if that goes before the county commissioners, that's up to them to make that decision. We have one county commissioner right now on board who wants to get rid of the juvenile center. I'm not going to say we have one on board, and I don't agree with it. I do not agree with getting rid of it. And the reason why you said it is you can't keep the family unit together. The thing that I would like to see is I would like to see our juveniles stay longer than 30 days because we can only hold them 30 days out there. If we can hold them longer than 30 days, we would probably even have better success in being able to deal with what's going on.
But that's a legislative.
Exactly. And somebody said, well, let's just send them here to the courthouse and run them through the cell phone. You can't absolutely. But that's.
Yeah, but
no, I don't want it to go away. My comment was that's what Jim said to me, and it's like I don't want it. Because I thought they misunderstood the comment. Shoot out the other side. That's not what I.
And then of course, Carl Wilson, all he has is one married female, very one slanted.
I'm just gonna go shoot myself. Yes.
That's what I was thinking. I'm not sure yet. Because that's what I saw on the thing that I applied.
When I was out there, it is. It's. But the question is it because we have success with juvenile courts, the programs that Mark has implemented, what we're doing as to drug prevention in the schools. I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened that are changing, that are allowing us to be able to reach these kids.
Okay, folks, we're going to come back together in about a minute. So if you could turn in your proposals, you can still turn them in a little bit as it goes, but the later you turn them in, the less likely they're going to come up here.
Well, I hope we don't. We're already getting them. Yes, but we also made a deal with another county. We're housing another county's kids here already. I think, yeah, we are. Another county's juveniles. But, well, and I've got I don't want them to, but like I said, we have a county commissioner that wants to eliminate them. But we need to keep, no, what we need to do is, well, yes and no it has. But we need to keep our kids here close to ourselves so that we can not just heal the kid, but heal the family and do things family. It is important too. Oh yeah, I got my butt kicked on that one good by Beaver last night. It's just like, hey now. I mean, she. No, Thursday. And it's like, okay. But it is important to keep them here. But what I would like to see is I'd like to see them keep them longer than 30 days. And the reason why is 30 days, we ship them to like Shelton and what good does that do? All that does is teach them to be better criminals. Because you're sending them. Yeah, exactly. I wish we could keep them longer here than 30 days though. Longer than 30 days. Think of what you could do with them. Well, look at how long you can keep them here in our county jail. If you have a sentence that is 364 days, you stay here in 12 counties. 366 days, we ship you to the big house. Now why can't we do that with our kids? What's more important? Well, Norm said it.
The legislative session is about to commence. We are going to be in session here in about 30 seconds. Just inviting people to take their seats. So Matt, do the folks who are watching, how many people are currently watching remotely?
There's about 18 people, and some from Belgium, Australia, New York, California.
Sorry, Belgium, Australia, New York, California, where else?
Washington State.
Washington State?
Yeah, that's...
Okay, so people are awake high out there. It's pretty late for some of you.
Yeah.
It's great, so.
From online that got submitted.
All right, good. Alrighty, so let me explain to you the rules of the game. First of all, I have a gavel, my role's changing a little bit. This is kind of like a gun, it's a little more power than I want, but this gavel will be used to signify whether a proposal passes or is rejected. The rules of the game right now are quite simple. The panel of experts has been culling through the proposals. I already have about a half dozen here. We'll at least get to those. There may be a couple more coming in. It just depends how it all flies. We are going to come down at 9:30 tonight, promise you that. I'm going to read one. Then we're going to invite two people to advocate for the proposal. 60 seconds each. Mickey is our timekeeper here. Great. 60 seconds. 2 people to advocate against the proposal. Even if you think it's got some positive things, you may feel it's important to state some concerns about it, right? So we'll have 2 for, 2 against, 60 seconds each, right up here at this microphone. Then we will take a vote. And actually we're going to take 3 votes. We're going to take a youth vote, 21 and under, in this room first. Then we'll take the adult vote. That's where I'm sorry, Rowan. I'm sorry, you're in the adult group. Darn. Okay, then I'm going to put this thing down. It's starting to make me sweat. Okay. Then the adult vote in this room, right? 22 and over. And how you're going to vote is yay, yes, hold up a green card, nay, no, hold up a red card, abstention, or I'm not sure, hold up a yellow card. And I really want to state the importance of this yellow card, right? Because it's possible that something might pass 7 yes, 2 no, and 30 yellows, right? So that proposal will be passed. However, we know there are significant concerns passed with extreme caution, right? So we'll get a youth vote, an adult vote, and Matt will let us know what the remote vote is. So all of you in the world watching the live stream are welcome to vote. We just ask you, say, Matt, what are you wanting to know from them? You want to know their country and their age?
Yeah, that's what we've asked them. And
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to spend a lot of time with you all because this is really local stuff that we're focusing on, but it'll be really interesting to hear what somebody from Australia or Belgium or India thinks in an outside context. We had a Canadian here for our healthcare legislative theater, and she wrote an essay which was mostly about her deep sadness of the hopelessness that Americans feel about healthcare, because she says, as a Canadian, it's a completely different experience. So we'll be curious to hear what people around the world think about these sorts of issues. All right? Questions about the process? We'll do that for a proposal, get the vote, move to the next one, same process, get through as many as we can, and then we'll do a little closure and send you all home. All right. Oh, and we have counters. We have Taven and Anli and Tanner who will be counting the votes and tabulating. Okay. So our first proposal, selected by our panel of experts, is mandatory diversity courses for students and staff, as well as programs for, oh, what's this word? Marginalized students to discuss issues and have a safe space. So I'm going to read that one again. Mandatory diversity courses for students and staff, I'm assuming teachers as well as programs for marginalized students to discuss issues and have a safe space in schools. We need one person to advocate for this proposal. That can be the author or it could be anyone. One person to advocate for. David? Okay, David, please. 60 seconds as soon as you start.
So the first step to understanding and becoming a tolerant person towards people you don't understand is knowing about them and understanding the human behind what you see. And I think diversity training and exposure to LGBT marginalized groups would be a great first step. Thank you.
One person to advocate against this proposal as written. Yes, please, Kira.
So I don't think that you should have mandatory courses in diversity. I do think that it would be amazing if they were offered. However, I know that people who are not ready to, like people who have closed minds, who don't, like the girl who said that was disgusting, thinking of a transgendered person going into a bathroom that she didn't think she should be going into. I think that if you made a course mandatory, it wouldn't be helpful for them. I don't feel like if you require someone with a closed mind to do something, they're not going to learn anything from it. I agree with the second part about having programs and safe spaces for people who to go and talk about their issues. But the first part, I don't agree with the mandatory. I think it would be cool if it was offered, but not mandatory. Thank you.
Another person to advocate for this proposal. Okay, another to advocate against. Okay, Sage.
See if it works better. All right. Mandatory class or even an optional class would be completely pointless. If you're against whatever it is, whatever you're supporting, the class is supporting, if you're against it, you're not going to pay attention at all about the class if it was mandatory. If it was optional, they wouldn't be going to the class anyway, because if they're against it, I highly doubt they want to learn about it. Thank you.
Any more chance to advocate for? Yes, we have right over here. Great. Yeah, say your name when you come up to the mic too, please.
Hi, I'm Jess again. I know people don't like the word mandatory, so I'm going to speak to maybe a different solution, which is, since we were dealing with the issue of, we were dealing with LGBT issues, I would think having, there's like mandatory health classes, right? So having that be part of the health class, so it doesn't sound so scary like we're having a mandatory class, but it's built in. And I also think that having a course on diversity is kind of weird, but if you show like a really moving documentary film or even a fictional film that addresses those issues, that could be one way of integrating that into the school system that's a little bit more realistic for people to sit through. And safe space is just, I mean, I'm completely for safe space, so I think this is a go, just maybe reword it a little bit.
Good. And part of the beauty of this process, we were talking about this last night, people like some of the proposals, but the wording is needing attention, so that's part of what we're learning tonight. How to word these things so the community says yes to it, right? It's tricky stuff. I'm going to read this now, then we'll take a vote. So get your red, yellow, and green cards ready, please. Okay, one more time. As written, mandatory diversity courses for students and staff, as well as programs for marginalized students to discuss issues and have a safe space. I'm going to take the youth vote. That's 21 and under. It's an arbitrary number, but let's just work with that. 21 and under first. Hold up your cards, please.
We're good, Mark.
Okay, how many green?
5.
5 green. How many red?
4.
4 red. How many yellow?
13.
13 yellow. Now we'll take the adult vote in the house here. Hold up your cards, 22 and over. Hold up your cards, please, nice and high.
Really high.
Really high, and so they can see them, not to the side, yeah.
Hold them up.
Hold them up.
Cool. Greens are good.
Okay. How many greens?
7.
7 greens. How many red?
13.
13 red. And how many yellow? 14 yellow. Okay. And then remotely, Matt, what do we have?
We have one person under 21 online voted no, and then 5 voted yes online. Everyone else abstained.
5 green and 1, I'm not going to take the age, but it's interesting to know, and then 1 red. Okay, so I'm actually we're just going to, that's more for interest's sake, but we're just going to see if it passed. Right now, this one passed with the youth with a lot of caution. It failed with the adults with a lot of caution, but the total is 12 yay, 17 nay, and 27 abstention. This proposal has not passed. as written. Okay, that's number 1. Let's go to number 2. Okay, this one's different. Reduce to 50% plus 1 vote for school bond issues. Right? What's the current? What's the current percent needed?
60.
60?
Supermajority.
Right? So it's the current is a school bond for infrastructure and other needs is 60%, what's called a supermajority. So this proposal, it says reduce that to 50% plus 1 vote for school bond issues. One person to advocate for, please. Great, Rowan. Let's get one. Okay, you're first, then we'll get you next.
I'm advocating for it because at the state legislature, all those folks down there are elected by 50% plus 1, and they deal with all the budget issues. I think the public's smart enough to do 50% plus 1 for bond issues too.
And one to advocate against this proposal. Another to advocate for, please. Yeah, great.
So having dealt with this in kind of our hometown, I always found it a little odd that to get a street light up or to change the ordinances around what happens in Main Street, it's always 50%. Why it's sort of stacked against the school bonds. And so I would really love to see that change, just so that it's a fair playing ground. And I really want to see kids be able to go to schools in buildings that are healthy and safe.
Anyone else want to advocate against? Okay, Jerry? We have to get you sitting here.
I'm really not against the whole idea, but what I am against is it doesn't talk about the financing of how it's going to be accomplished. You know, once you have the vote and you can get that 51%, how can you pay for that? And so I think that needs to be addressed at the same time.
It is. It's always addressed.
That's all we have. It's just this is a moving process. Yeah, it's not a debate, or we'll only get through 1 or 2. Okay, so this is the vote time. I'm going to read it again. I'm going to get the youth vote first. So the wording as written: reduce to 50% plus 1 vote for school bond issues. 21 and unders, please hold up your cards nice and high. Everyone vote. In this legislature, all ages vote. I had my 3-year-old son voting last night. It was a little scary, truly. He loved it. He had 2 cards up, right? Okay.
We're good, Mark.
Okay. How many green?
17.
17 green. How many red?
0.
0 red. How many yellow? 3 yellow. Okay, the adult vote, 22 and older, please hold up your cards nice and high. This is the way democracy happens, right?
We're good, Mark.
Okay, how many greens?
24.
24 greens. How many reds?
0.
0 reds. How many yellows? 3 yellows. Okay. And Matt, what's going on in the world up there?
It's +4 yes. No one voted no. A bunch of abstainings because they don't understand the +1, 50% +1 concept.
I don't understand it either, brother. Oh, Lord. Majority rules, basically. Yeah, right. Okay, so this is four greens. Okay, so this one has had no nays, the 0 nays. It's certainly passed with both youth and adults and on the internet. So the total in-house is 41 yay, 0 nay, and 6 abstentions. This proposal is absolutely passed. Here and now. Today. Okay. Next one. Okay, this one. Create peer mediation in schools to create space and dialogue for conflict. Specifically, peer mediation, I'm assuming that that is a specific methodology. I actually would like to advocate, I would ask the author of this to come and make sure that it's clear what you mean by this. Would the author be willing to advocate yes on this one? Please come, thank you. That's this one here, I think, is the author. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's just get one at a time. I'd rather have one at a time. Let's start with you here.
You go first.
Well, I'm just going to take one, then I'm going to take an A. This is how the game. I'm going to be very strict with this. Come, please.
What?
Yeah.
Can you just ask someone to explain what was written?
Well, I wanted the author of this one.
I remember the author.
Okay, good. Good, yeah. Come. Two stood up, so I did that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Grace, you probably wrote the same thing, right? Good. Grace and I work together. Mediation is a very specific process, and we have a very active here public. We have a dispute resolution center here, where mediators learn a great skill and a process of how you get people around the table and so people can meet and talk to each other, and they learn how to listen and to understand and gain some empathy. We used to have a peer mediation up at the high school. I don't know if it's even there, but it needs to be broader. It teaches kids how to be a mediator, and then the students that have a problem, they come to their peers to talk about their problems, and they learn to listen to each other. It's really a very powerful tool.
Thank you so much. Good. Okay, is anybody interested in advocating against this proposal? Okay, somebody else to advocate for it? Grace? Great. Good.
I think that peer mediation provides an important space to voice the concerns going on and have a neutral space, because the mediator, which would be a peer, someone from the school that's gone through the training to get that set of skills, they facilitate that, and it allows the voices to be heard in a neutral ground. There probably would have to be some type of well, it is controversial with bullying, because they say that you shouldn't be in the presence of your abuser. So, but there's a broad range of conflict that occurs, and so having, let's see, different tools to apply to complex things such as conflict and disagreements is important.
Okay, yeah. Good. Thank you. Thank you. We had a lot more bells ringing last night. Okay, so anyone to advocate against? I will read the proposal, and again, we'll take the youth vote first. As written, word for word, create peer mediation in schools to create space and dialogue for conflict. Youth votes, there's no questions at this point. We're just taking a vote. Hold your cards up, please, 21 and unders. Huh, interesting. Okay. How many greens? 2 greens. How many reds? 10 reds. And how many yellows? 10 yellows. Okay. Where were the advocate against speakers? I don't know. There was a lot of red there. I'm very curious, but we'll maybe check in on that afterwards. The adult vote, please. 22s and above. Hold your cards up high. Okay, how many greens?
12.
12 greens. How many reds?
6.
6 reds. How many yellows?
7.
7 yellows. Okay, and the internet?
5 yes, 1 no.
5 yes, 1 no. Okay, so this is pretty clearly failed with the students. I am actually going to want to ask about that here. And with the adults, it has passed. And with the internet, it has passed. So the total in-house is 14 yay, 16 nay, 17 abstention. This proposal has not been passed. But I really want to ask, is there a student that would be willing to come up here and explain why you're against it? Yes, please come. Rose.
So I would say the reason why this is a bad idea is it does put people in a lot weaker spot. Kids aren't as emotional, and if you put emotional people around people that don't care, will space you out and make fun of you. So I would say it's a really poor idea.
Wow, interesting. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Good. All righty. Let's go to the next one. We're getting a lot of information here, okay? So this one is a little bit different. It's another idea. A student-teacher forum outside of the classroom to mutually, it's been underlined, to mutually discuss shared problems, etc. Work together outside of the adversarial them and us dynamic of many classrooms. Let me read that one again. To create a student-teacher forum, sounds like students and teachers in the same space, student-teacher forum outside of the classroom to mutually discuss shared problems, etc. Work together outside of the adversarial them and us dynamic of many classrooms. One person advocate for this proposal. Could be the author or otherwise. Would the author be willing to stand forward and advocate for? Someone to advocate against? Okay, Rowan, please. Yeah.
So I don't know that I want.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know that I'm necessarily against it. I think it's just sort of the combination of the way that it's put together. In that how do you get teachers specifically, and then students as well, to get outside of that us and them mentality. So I don't know. I guess I would like more information about that before I would vote yes.
Anyone else wish to advocate for this proposal? Anyone else against? Yes, please come. This is Jerry.
I think I have a problem with the kids that would come are the kids that feel empowered to do something. The kids that really need it won't go.
All right. So let's take a vote. Youth, vote first, please. Hold up your cards. I'm going to read it one last time. Student and teacher forum outside of the classroom to mutually discuss shared problems, work together outside of the adversarial them and us dynamic of many classrooms. Cards up, please.
Golden mark.
Okay. How many greens?
2.
2 greens. How many reds?
6.
6 reds. How many yellows?
14.
14 yellows. The yellows are hot tonight. Okay, the adult vote, please. 22 and above. Hold your cards up high.
Make sure you are facing your cards towards me.
Like this as opposed to like this.
Good, Mark.
Okay, how many greens?
4.
4 greens. How many reds?
12.
12 reds. How many yellows?
11.
11 yellows. And Matt, what's happening in the world?
3-4, 3 against, the rest abstain.
3-4, 3 against. Okay, so the rest abstain, any abstain. Okay. So rejected both by the youth and the adults. The totals are 6 yay, 18 nay, 25 abstain. This proposal has not been passed. We'll go with another one. Okay, this one. The creation of a student Bill of Rights made by student task force given to each student, teacher, admin with school board. I'm not sure, I'm maybe confused about the grammar here, but the penmanship is lovely. I can read it very easily. Start over, I'm sorry. It's been a long week. Creation of a student Bill of Rights made by student task force given to each student, teacher, admin with school board liaison identified to support students. Does anybody need me to read that again? Yes, one more time. I think I understand it now. I might need the author to come up here. Creation of a student Bill of Rights made by student task force given to each student, teacher, admin with school board liaison, identified to support students. That's the best I can do. Would the author be willing to come clarify? Thanks, Rowan. Okay, sorry. I think it's a comma that's missing. I don't know. Okay, good. I know. Those are my
Punctuation. That's not important. Just kidding. Sorry, I just made a big piece for it. I would love to see this happen actually in a lot of schools, but particularly in middle school and high school. Just like we exist with the Bill of Rights, I think it would be really great for a student, particularly a student who feels voiceless, to know as you start that school year, this is your Bill of Rights. These are the things that you are entitled to. And they know what it is, the teachers know what it is, the administrators know what it is, and I would love to see one, at least, school board person who is identified as a liaison so that those students know this is the person that I go to if my rights are being violated in school. So that's it.
Thank you. One person to advocate against. Yes, thank you. Righty tighty, sorry.
I'm not advocating against, I just would like to know more about how they get, what the process is, how the students get engaged. Is it done every year? Who enforces it? I mean, there's a lot, it's an interesting idea, it's probably a good idea, I just, it's lacking a little detail.
Yeah, I'd love to see it student-led.
Right. So that's the operative. Is there somebody else that would like to advocate for, and maybe you could even explain a little bit of how you might see that? Please come. Great. This is Cadence.
I feel like every student knowing the rights they have, and also having the teachers and the people around us knowing what rights we have would be really good, because then it's not like what are we allowed to do, what aren't we allowed to do. Because they don't really explain to that test at the beginning of the year. But if we all know what's right and what's wrong, that would really help.
Thank you. And anyone else to advocate against? Please, Sage. Really thrilled so many of the students are actually speaking tonight, both on stage in the forum and in this process right now with the legislative process.
Okay, so, sorry, messed me up, didn't I? Anyway, we already have a book telling us like what's supposed to happen, what's not supposed to happen. We get it at the beginning of the year, everyone gets one. We already have rules set down that aren't getting through, that are made by the administration. Why would anyone in the administration take any of the rules that we make serious and push those forward as well?
Great, thank you. Okay, so let's take a vote.
Well, you got people asking for your attention back there.
No.
I will allow it. Come. Yeah. I'll give the youth a little more slack here.
I'm speaking against it, although I'm not against the idea of giving documents or paperwork to students, explaining what their rights are in words and what they have. Two things really quickly. One, we already have a Bill of Rights. The United States of America has a Bill of Rights. It has 28 amendments to that. that covers discrimination. It covers your freedom of speech. It covers it covers your Miranda rights. It covers all of the rights that everyone in America should have. And I feel like, opposed to creating a new Bill of Rights, but a system to distill that down to students and how that affects them, and also keeping schools accountable to the Bill of Rights that everyone in America has. Thank you.
All right, let's take a vote. Once again, I will read it as written. And Rowan, I just want to make sure to give it to each student, teacher, comma, and administrator. Okay, thank you. I'm going to read it right now. Hopefully this will inform the vote in a good way. Okay, so the creation of a student Bill of Rights made by a student task force given to each student, teacher, and administrator with school board liaison identified to support students. So the youth, 21 and under, please hold up your cards, red, green, and yellow. Oh, how interesting. See, the camera can't see this, but I can.
We're good, Mark.
Okay, hold on, just gotta make sure. Number 5. Okay, how many green?
5.
5 green, how many red?
8.
8 red, how many yellow?
6.
6 yellow. Okay, the adult vote in-house, 22 and above. Hold up cards high. Four green. How many red? 8. 8 red. How many yellow?
13.
13 yellow. And Matt, what's going on in the world?
3 green, 3 red, 8 abstain.
3 green, 3 red, 8 abstain. So this one has failed with the youth. It has failed with the adults, and it's not going much in the rest of the world either. But let's see, the total count is 9 yay, 16 nay, and 19 abstention. In-house, this proposal, as written, has not been passed. Okay. Okay, this one is different. We need a proposal. The proposal is to audit where funds that have been designated as going to the schools actually goes there, i.e. the casino taxes. So we need a proposal to audit where funds that have been designated to go to the schools, that it actually goes there. Okay, one person advocate for, please.
I have a question for the author.
Okay, so let's just have, is the author willing to advocate? Come on. You got a lot cooking, Yeah, this will in part clarify exactly what you mean. It's an auditing policy, an auditing law.
I just feel like even in the major governments, we're spending so much money on doing things that shouldn't be spent on, and we're not doing things that should be spent on. And I don't know that all the monies that are supposed to go to our schools are actually going to the schools. I see this all the time as far as taxes that are collected that don't go where they're supposed to go. And I want to see an audit so that the schools are supported in something other than taxes.
Right.
Did that answer your question? No.
Well, my question was, who are you auditing?
The state government, at the state level, the people that collect the taxes, make sure that they're going where they're supposed to go.
Yeah. Is that clear? This is an auditing of the state, right? Okay. Someone to advocate against this proposal? Yes, please, Mickey, come. Would somebody be willing to time? Akira will time you. Look out.
So, one of the bigger problems with like schools within the school, and taxing the government wouldn't take care of that problem specifically. So I feel like it needs to be written slightly differently, but I do think it's a good idea.
Good. Someone else to advocate for this proposal, please, Sage. Also want to encourage people that have not come up and you just even take a risk to speak what your heart and mind believe. Yeah.
So honestly, I don't know what the numbers are of the taxes that are supposed to be going towards our school, but I would like to agree with her saying what's going into our school, I don't think is going where it should be. I think most of our money is mainly going towards sports. Because that's what everyone in the school is interested in. But it's not going into, foundation, going into, I don't know, groups, stuff like that. It's not going where it should be.
And this is finally someone to advocate against. Is this an against?
Yes.
Okay, come.
Based off your answer to my question to audit the state government, I would say an audit takes forever, and I would like to see legislation based on auditing schools or specific school districts. But auditing the state government doesn't seem like a good way to handle your lack of trust of where the funds are going, or to see where the funds are going. Thank you.
Great. That's all we can take. I have to. Otherwise, we'll just stick with the same one. But please come up again. Okay, good. So, actually, I have not heard your voice yet. So I actually do want to welcome you here. This is a new voice. Yeah.
Just very quickly wanted to address your concern. I actually have audited the state for other reasons. So it sounds like something that can't be done. I'm going to audit the state. That's not possible. It can't be done. Actually, it can be done, and for very specific reasons. I had an opportunity to work with Social Security Administration. We conducted audits of representative payees. Went in 2 or 3 days. Were able to address very specific issues, such as the one that you're identifying. So while it seems unreasonable and unrealistic, it actually really is. Can be done.
Great, good. I'm seeing a lot of nods in the house too. So great, thank you. And your name's Dot?
Deb.
Deb. Okay, sorry. There we go. All right, let's take a vote with this one. We're doing great. This is number 6, and I think we're going to get at least 2 to 3 more in. So let's see how it goes. So the proposal is to audit where funds that have been designated as going to the schools where it actually goes there. So youth vote first. Hold up your cards, 21 and younger.
We're good, Mark.
Okay. How many green?
16.
16 green. How many red?
0.
0 red. How many yellow?
6.
6 yellow. The adult vote 22 and above.
We're good, Mark.
Okay, how many green?
16.
16 green. How many red?
0.
0 red. How many yellow?
9.
9 yellow. And Matt, what's in the internet?
4 green, 1 red, 9 abstain.
Trying to understand the U.S. system. Okay, so this one is overwhelmingly passing both with youth and adults. The total is 32 green, 0 red, 15 yellow, 15 abstention. This proposal has been passed. I got the gavel. Okay, I'm going to read one more from the room, and then we got one from Belgium. So Jerome, you're going to be on shortly. So this one says, have a one-on-one or small group review of the school rules. I see it in quotes here, school rules / policies. The current sign the form blindly approach clearly leaves the students uninformed of their rights and of their responsibilities. Let me read that again. Have a one-on-one or small group review of the school rules and policies. The current sign the form blindly approach clearly leaves the students uninformed of their rights and of their responsibilities. One person to advocate for this proposal, please. Taven. Don't make Taven do all the work. I want to hear what others have to say. Great.
If I understand this correctly, it's making every student, this is yours, right? It's making every student understand the handbook and the rules and regulations set by the school. I think this is a fantastic idea because I know plenty of students who the first day of school, you get your handbook, you go home, you have your parents sign the back sheet of the handbook and you go into school, but no one opens the handbook. No one knows the rules and regulations of the school. So when you get detention or when you have to go to ISS or when you have to go talk to your teachers, you don't understand the rules and regulations that are in place. And if you don't understand the rules and regulations, then they don't have as good of an effect as they can. Thank you.
One to advocate against. Yes, Sage. The Sage and Taven Show.
Because I love to argue against it.
Love his comedy.
Somewhat true.
So at the beginning of every year, we usually go over the rules in class. And honestly, if you don't know the rules by now, I don't know what you've been doing for the last years. A little meeting to review the rules ain't gonna do anything.
Anyone who has not spoken and wish to advocate for this proposal, please come. Thank you.
So I think this is a good idea, just like what Sage is saying, like yes, it may not change anything, but I think it would just not only, like, for lack of a better word, maybe expose some of the failings within our school rules, and then perhaps it could facilitate other changes, like the student-led sort of coalition, maybe help with parents or just something, so people can really understand, like, oh, this isn't being enforced, or oh, this is like a really terrible rule that should be addressed. So, I mean, it could lead to some good change. I think it has the possibility to, or it could, just fall flat, but I think it's better to try it than just let things stay as they are. Does that make sense?
Anyone who has not spoken wish to advocate against this proposal? Anybody else wish to advocate against this proposal? You already have. Rose, okay.
So the reason why I disagree is because when you look at the rules, it's kind of like a terms and agreement in service and all. You have the chance to look at it. It's every right, and you decide to sign something that you're signing blindly and you don't know what you're signing. You can at any time of the year decide to look at it again, and you've also been going to school for many years. They're very blatant laws. There's a lot of rules, so you'd be covering a lot of time in class. That's wasting time, I believe.
Alrighty, let's take a vote on this one. I'll read it one more time as written. Have a one-on-one or small group review of the school rules and policies. The current sign the form blindly approach clearly leaves the students uninformed of their rights and of their responsibilities. Let's get the youth vote, please. Hold your cards up high. Okay, how many greens? 18. I'm sorry? 18. 18 greens. How many reds?
5.
5? 5 reds. How many yellows? 0. 0 yellows. Okay, the adult vote, please. Hold your hands up high. You got 2, dude. That's a loose chat over there, too, probably. Okay. U.S. joke out there. That's how George Bush got elected. Sorry.
We are good.
Okay. How many greens?
15.
I'm sorry?
15.
15 green. How many red?
7.
7 red. How many yellow?
4.
4 yellow. Matt, what's in the internet?
4 yes, 2 no, 8 abstain.
4 green, 2 red, 8 yellow. So it has passed. This proposal has passed in all 3 sectors. The total in-house is 33 yay, 12 nay, and 4 abstention. This proposal has been passed. All right. So we have one from Belgium here. Sometimes people outside of an issue have some insight. Let's see what Jerome from Belgium has to say. He says, have an online platform to collect stories of best practices of schools combating discrimination, highlighting it is possible, and advising other schools or individual students what might be useful tactics. Let me read that one again. To have or create an online platform to collect stories of best practices of schools combating discrimination, highlighting it as possible, and advising other schools or individual students what might be useful tactics. So Jerome, is Jerome advocating for? Maybe give him an opportunity to type something in.
I'll tell him.
Okay.
Let him not be first.
Okay. Anybody here wish to advocate for that? The online platform. Mickey, come on down. Yeah, no? Okay. Hold on. Say just because you've spoken so much. Anybody who hasn't spoken wish to advocate for this one? Okay, Sage, come, please. Yeah. That's all right. Sage likes this. Okay. Yeah.
Alright. Jerome, that is perhaps the best idea I've heard today and yesterday. Because this would not be giving the negative people to give them a chance to neglect it. It would be giving the people who are having this problem and are looking for a problem to get advice from everyone else who has been able to surpass all the people looking down on them. So thank you so much for that idea.
Somebody's advocating against this. This is Mickey against. Please come. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a relatively small problem, but I don't see what this has to do with legislation at all. Like, it's a great idea, and I support it, but I don't see what it has to do with legislation. Like, it's not really a government issue. It's more like somebody make a webpage and we'll all talk on it type of thing. So.
Okay. Matt, has Jerome written anything to help clarify how this could be a policy? It's not necessarily a government legislation, it could be a policy. Has Jerome spoken?
Not yet. It's 5 a.m. over there, so I don't know.
Come on, Jerome, wake up, man.
He's still there. He's still in the forum.
Wake up. Okay, good. Now, because I guess I'm curious.
You said something.
Okay, let me give you a mic. Hold on.
I'm pretty loud.
That's okay. So the camera can hear.
All right, he says, I just think it's important to make clear change is possible, use technology to give voice to the voices we hear the least, and celebrate victories.
My guess, and I'm slipping out of my neutral role here, but my guess is that it's not a legislation, but it might be a school decision, a school district decision. It could be a school board. I don't know at what level it might be, but it could be official. Not just like, I'm going to do it, but it's an official school action. Yeah. Yes, did you want to advocate for or against? Please come.
So I think this idea is wonderful because as someone being a student of color, it's like, and having a lot of friends who are in like really marginalized groups growing up here, it's so easy to feel alone in what you're going through. And especially, like the majority of like our high school is, people of like dominant groups. It's really easy to think, oh, like it's absolutely not possible. And I think that was really evident with a lot of like
students coming up to talk, like their legitimate concerns, like no, it's just not gonna happen, no one wants to listen to us. So I think just creating a way for us to like connect with people who are dealing with the same things, maybe in completely different environments, and see what's been working for them, not only creates a sense of community, but also just like the ability to understand that it's not impossible, like things can get better.
Good. Okay, let's take a vote, which is an international proposal. Sometimes people outside, as Augusta Bois would say, sometimes people outside of the issue think about it differently, okay? Great. So, well, there may be an issue in Belgium too. I'm going to take a guess it is. Alrighty. Student vote, please. I mean the youth vote, 21 and unders, please hold up cards high.
Red has a hard job.
Okay, whenever you're ready, Tanner. How many greens? 20 greens. How many reds?
0.
0 reds. How many yellows? 2. 2 yellows. Okay, the adult vote, please hold cards up high.
We're good, Mark.
Okay, and how many greens?
19.
19 greens. How many reds? 2. 2 reds. How many yellows?
6.
6 yellows. And Matt, what's the internet?
4 green, 0 red, 10 yellow.
Okay, so this proposal has passed in all sectors here. Overwhelmingly, we have 39 yay, 2 nay, 8 abstention. This proposal has been passed. All right. We have time for one more before we close up, and this one's different. It's a different topic here. Let me see if I can read it correctly. Science and medical-based drug programs support for students suffering with drug abuse with themselves, friends, and family. So science and medical-based drug programs support for students. That's within the schools, I'm assuming, because we're talking about schools. Science and medical-based drug programs support for students suffering with drug abuse with themselves, friends, and family. One person who hasn't spoken yet, if possible, to advocate for. You've spoken. Hold on for a sec. Yes, please come. Thank you.
There has been a lot of research, recent research, about what your brain experiences on alcohol, drugs, whatever, and how each individual reacts differently to that. And if you can understand what's going on, possibly it can make you understand why you should or cannot even touch these substances again. And if you have that knowledge, then you can deal with it. And it's not a shaming thing, it's not a lack of willpower thing. So I think that education in this respect is really important.
Great. Somebody, ideally who hasn't spoken yet, to advocate against this proposal? Anyone wish to advocate against? Mickey, please. Yeah.
Okay, so I completely forgot what we were talking about now.
Drug, science and medical.
Okay, so we already have a lot of education, like on drug abuse in our health classes, but obviously it sucks because all health classes suck and the curriculum is bad. So that could be improved, obviously, but I feel like it could be written better. Like, I feel like an improvement of the curriculum along with another step would be a better option, I guess.
Good. Somebody else to advocate for? Do you want to come? Okay. Rock, paper, scissors?
I would even say I was against it.
Okay, great. So that's a 4. Good. Rock, paper, scissors. Great.
So I think I'm definitely hearing some of the against from the youth vote, which is the last thing that they want is to sit through another class where people tell them drugs are bad because they already know that. But what I hear in that proposal actually is science and medical-based treatment, which is a whole different thing. And the research out there is actually pretty mind-blowing. A lot of it's happening in Belgium, so that's good. And what that means is particularly around opiate addiction, this is medical support for people who are trying to get off drugs. This isn't trying to tell them how to will their way into not being an addict. This is giving them medical support, science-based support in getting off drugs. And it's the treatment piece that I think is important, not another class. So.
Great. Somebody to advocate against? Yeah.
Are we talking about treatment or are we talking about class? Just wording.
Science and medical-based drug programs support. Who wrote this one?
I wrote it and I was talking about treatment.
Treatment.
Okay, so
Treatments are pretty much what Rowan said.
Okay, so if we're talking about Narcan and we're talking about stuff like that, then I'm totally pro. But I thought we were talking about a class, and when you say science and medical based, I was thinking, you know, I would like to see more support for why there's drug abuse in the first place, and not about, you know, oh, drugs are bad, because I'm sure that, you know. So, good, thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, so now that we have clarified this one, this is support, meaning treatment. Anybody else wish to advocate for? Anybody else wish to advocate against? No, for. Okay, great. And then we will vote and wrap. Yeah.
This is coming from my limited understanding of how current treatment programs work in the school. I don't really know if there are any besides counseling and therapy at Fort Hamilton's high school, as well as other high schools that I've attended. And I feel like I really like the science and medical-based treatment in this, as opposed to just mental and emotional, because most people who are suffering from drug and alcohol addiction get all the mental help and the rehabilitation, but they don't get the science and medical-based part of that. Thank you.
Good, thank you. And again, just because we were clarifying this one, anybody else wish to advocate against? This will be the last one, please. It's a new voice.
Actually, what I want to speak to is that treatment, when we get to the high school level and people are already using, is really too late. And we need to do prevention or put some energy and efforts there, and also reduce access in our community. So that's a different issue, but it also should be considered, I think, legislatively, because that's where we have to make the impact. Because it's very expensive to have treatment, and once you're there, it's a bad news thing.
Thank you. And I know there's a lot of people that have things to say about this. This is the first proposal dealing with the substance aspect of our play, but we need to move on. So given what you've heard, and I'll reread what is written, I'm going to add the word treatment, just so that's really clear. Then we'll take a vote. And this will be the last one of the evening. So science and medical-based drug programs support treatment for students suffering with drug abuse, with themselves, friends, and family. Let's get the youth vote, please. Hold your cards up high. We're just moving on.
Just to clarify, is the intent to have that in the school?
Within the school system, yes. Hold hands, cards up high. This is all school proposals. Okay, what do we got for green? 20 green. How many red?
1.
1 red. How many yellow?
3.
3 yellow. Adult vote, please. Good. We're good, Mark. How many green? 19. How many red?
2.
2 red. How many yellow?
6.
6 yellow. And Matt in the internet?
6 green, 0 red, 7 green, 0 red, and about the rest abstain of 14. 7.
Okay, great. So this one has passed in all sectors. We have a grand total of 39 yay, 3 nay, 9 abstention. This proposal has been passed. So, that is the end of the legislative theater piece. Thank you so much for your patience and your stamina working with this. We do have a little closure process, so I'm going to ask all the actors to come on stage, please. And you all wish to, I think our panel of experts wishes to say something while we're setting up. Let me give you the mic.
Hello everyone, I just wanted to let you know my name is Ari and I'm a licensed mental health counselor, clinical, and I go
Can you hold that a little closer to your mouth?
Yes, my name is Ari Wyatt and I am a clinical mental health counselor and I do go into the schools and I did want to speak a little bit on the treatment piece. We did receive a card that kind of brought up some questions about where students could go in the schools when they're dealing with mental health or addiction issues. And what I would recommend is not to necessarily go to your academic counselor, but seek out a mental health counselor in the school or a school psychologist. So those would be the words that I would use when you are dealing with these types of issues.
Does the high school have a mental health counselor?
The high school has what they call an intervention specialist, and some of you would know, you know who is AJ.
Yeah.
And he will definitely be able to link you up with someone who is mental health that goes into the school regularly. So right now he's the only one that works, and he's specific in addiction, but he does mental health piece to it, and he will bring someone inside of the school at your request.
Thank you, Ari. Good. So as we head into our closure process of the evening, first of all, just by a show of hands, how many of you learned something from the young people tonight that you didn't know when you came in, that you learned something new tonight? Lots of hands. Great. How many of you learned anything new through the legislative theater process, something that you did not know before coming tonight? Hands up high. So again, lots of hands up. Similar last night, we covered some similar topics, of course, but very different interventions in the forum, very different, and very different proposals that we worked with. So we have a total of, I think, 16 or 17 proposals that we have worked with, many of which passed. We have a lot of new laws and policies, at least in this room. We'll see what the legislators that have been here, we've had 14 legislators, 13 legislators and policymakers here. We will do a follow-up and make sure that you all get the results of this, including the legislators that were invited and didn't make it. Eileen, how many did we invite? Is Eileen here? How many legislators were invited to this event?
Total?
Yeah.
121.
121 letters. I want to introduce Eileen Hurling, who we didn't introduce. She's on the board of the League for the Women Voters, but she's been the project manager, project coordinator, 7 months. 7 months of in the trenches work. I also want to introduce Tanner DeLuna, who is with us all week. The assistant facilitator, the assistant director of the play, and Queen Fabulous. I love Tanner. I've known her for many years, so very good. So, we spent 3 hours together, nearly 3 hours together tonight. We're going to invite the audience and just to call out in a word or at most a short phrase, not long sentences, not whole stories, in a word or short phrase, what, if anything, did you get out of this evening together? And we'll just hear from a lot of different people, and then the cast here, we will play back your experience, our collective experience in a fluid sculpture, which they just learned how to do yesterday. So just call it out in a word or a short phrase. What can you take from this evening?
Encouragement.
Encouragement. What else?
We need to support our kids better.
We need to support our kids better. What else?
Inspiration.
Inspiration. What else?
Hopefulness.
Hopefulness.
Understanding.
Understanding. What else? Accountability. What else? Empowered. What else? What happened tonight for you? Yeah. I'm having trouble hearing, sorry. Stand up for what you believe in. Good. What else? Anything else? Passionate youth. Anything else? Okay. Yes, Lawrence.
Brilliant, passionate.
Brilliant, passionate youth. I'm assuming on stage and in the house and all over the world. So now the cast is going to take in this information and be you. They're going to be you and maybe other things that weren't said but were experienced in a fluid sculpture. Let's watch.
You can do it! You can do it!
Encouragement.
You can do it!
Encouragement.
You can do it!
Encouragement.
Support.
Brilliance.
You can do it! You can
Brilliance.
Brilliance!
Brilliance. Brilliance.
You
Brilliant. Encouragement. Brilliant.
do it!
Brilliant.
You can do it! You can do it!
Brilliant.
You can
Brilliant.
Encourage.
Brilliant.
Do it!
Please, I'm going to tap you. Let's just hear each voice. Fortunately, we have a mic, which hopefully is on.
Integrity. Encouragement.
You can do it!
Brilliance.
Empowerment.
Spiritual and emotional support.
Passionate.
Excited.
Believe.
Hopefulness.
Representation.
Support.
Please listen.
Thank you so much for being here for them, first and foremost. And actually, there was a question. One of the audience members who came both nights has asked, what was the question? Was it you? Just briefly, like to invite the cast to respond to your question.
Has this made you feel more empowered? How individually, just this week that you've spent, do you feel that you've got more of a voice in your futures?
Okay. Any of you wish to respond to that?
I feel like with ARC and this whole thing, having a bunch of people to back me up, I feel like we've gotten a lot more power, not just in our community, but a lot more power in standing up for what and who we are.
Also, what Sage said, I think it gives us hope and that we know we're being listened because people came tonight and last night to listen to what we had to say.
There's a few others with hands up.
This is kind of branching out from empowerment, but I am glad to see that there's a community who is willing to empower us, a community who is really willing to come around us and have a forum about our problems as well as the community's problems, and it's such a beautiful thing to see all of you here participating in this.
just really, really grateful to see all these people coming together and taking time out of their lives to be here for us when we're struggling.
Any others wish to speak? Okay. So the last thing I want to say, and this is what I always say, something along these lines at the end of any Theater of the Oppressed-based event. For me, this is not just an exercise, right? I mean, there's a lot of neat things that happened up on stage today, good ideas, and maybe stimulate new ideas that we didn't see, and proposals that passed and that didn't pass, or didn't pass with caution and need some rewording. But the challenge is, what do we do when we go out this door? It is not just an exercise. The challenge is, let's go out and reinvent our futures. That was one of the goals of the founder of this work, and I deeply believe it is why I do it, because I do believe change is possible. I would not do this if I did not think, if I was not an optimist. So I invite you all to go out there and do something on any level. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Dun, dun. All right. Want to say goodbye to the live stream? Goodbye, live stream. We're shutting down. It's been fun. Oh, we could have grabbed Steve Derringer and interviewed him.
You could have said, so now what are you going to do?